Hello, all newcomers, and welcome back, my fellow Eternians. As always, it's me, Emperor AP, and today we are going to be talking about five serious not international, five serious topics in the United States that are causing problems. These are very serious problems, and as a micronationalist, I want to discuss these because this is crazy stuff. The U.S. is going through a lot of problems right now. There's a lot of difficulty with getting information on some of these topics, so I want to talk about this because it is absolutely detrimental to the future. If you're curious about micronationalism and the way that's going to be going forward, this is going to be a big topic for you. If you're interested in U.S. politics and what's going on there, this is going to be a big issue for you. There's a lot of stuff which underpins the reasons why people are frustrated with the United States, and these are some of the ones that are causing the most problems right now. So if you're somebody who wants to help and who wants to make a change for the better in the U.S., this may be a way to go about it. Is identifying some of these problems. So Eskimo says hello. Conman says hello. New Canada says good morning. Kira McClone says hello. Kieran Clome says hello. What's going on? Conman says the commies are taking over. Zaria says hi. Hello everybody. It's good to see you. Real quick before we begin, I do want to bring up. Kieran McClone says, "Oh, I live in the U.S. Capitalism is destroying it right now." Well, there are some bigger problems than capitalism at the moment, but that sure is a crazy thing. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but real quick, Scotty actually messaged me on Discord and asked me to answer a few quick questions for him. So I figured I would do that while we're all hanging out at the beginning of the stream, and then we are going to jump heavily into these topics. But real quick, I do want to do justice by Scotty and answer his questions. So one of the first questions that Scotty had, which I want to answer real quick, is talking about COVID-19 affecting micronations. Of course, COVID-19 is a big problem with micronations. We've had a lot of discussion of COVID-19 during that time. But COVID-19 actually was a time that was really interesting for micronations because if you did a lot of in-person stuff, it was going to hurt you. But if you did a lot of online stuff, it helped. And so I think a lot of micronations actually saw some growth during COVID-19 simply because of an increased online presence and an ability for people to search for new niches and new topics online. Um, he also asked about currencies. Currencies and how they work, how to start one, all of that is described actually within our micronational economics series. And I'm going to uh, list that here. I'm going to show you the playlist there for how to get into our micronational economics series. Now, the link that I sent in the chat is a is to our um, is to our playlist on it, but I think the playlist for some reason starts at number 4. So make sure you go to number 1 to actually get the basis for understanding, the valuation of items, how to increase the value of different things, stuff like that. Um, so that's a big thing to talk about. Um, TRC says COVID was started at the events after that deterred the USA for a bit, so they kind of focused a little bit on everything. Yeah, right now I'm not talking about problems in the U.S. Right now I'm talking specifically about these questions Scotty wanted answered. Defending a micronation. So I recommend the best method for defending your micronation is allowing, if you're a realist micronation, um, the best way to defend your micronation is to allow the state which you are in to defend your micronation. If you live within a larger macronation, that macronation has defenses. That's all you need. It's very hard for anybody to disturb the sovereignty of a macronation without having some serious consequences to that. So if you're inside a macronation, you should be fine. And I would not recommend raising an army or having a defense force or having any sort of armed militia group um, created because that only brings conflict and issues with your neighbors. It only raises concerns about who you are and what your intentions are. And well, he asked the final question: is it possible to police a micronation? I would say if you're a realist nation, no, because micronations are not considered recognized. So your policing of your own micronation is also not going to be recognized by your larger macronational entities you're going to be dealing with. So no, I would not recommend trying to police a micronation because you're trying to police people who are not who can at any point say you do not represent me, you are not an authority over me, and in fact you may be committing crimes in the macronation that I'm from by holding me, or by attempting to fine me, or by causing problems. So I would say if everybody is a willing participant, you might be able to get away with fines, agreeing to have somebody pay fines, like for example, parking tickets and stuff like that. Private businesses can give those out, for you to pay to the private business, but it is harder to get people to do that. So I would recommend not trying to police your micronation, not being that something that you focus on, but if that is something that you are bound and set and determined to focus on, I would say fines would be the way to go. Don't actually try to ever, whether it's with policing or with militaries or with defense, ever try and create militaries, ever try and create armed groups. It never helps. It's never beneficial. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's going to take a lot of time and money, and it's not going to go very far. Um, as well, I have not jumped us on some music. You guys may have noticed. The reason is because we're about to jump into a whole bunch of topics. So I hope that helped for Scotty and what he needed. We are about to transition real quick. First off, Leanna, thank you so much for joining us. Uh, Kiram Clome says, how would you protect your micronation uh, if you cannot enforce your laws? That's a great question. So the way that we enforce our law, there's a difference between enforcing your laws and policing, I believe. Policing means having uh, enforcers who are enforcing the law. We don't have enforcers. We don't have laws in the Empire of Aeternia as of right now because we are not a sovereign enough entity to exert full physical, legal control over our citizens. The way that we do that is we make citizenship hard to get. Citizenship has requirements, and if you are not constantly meeting those requirements, you are removed. So you don't have to break a law to not be a citizen of Eternia or to get removed from Eternia. You just have to not be following our expectations. So that's the difference, right? You can set standards for your nation that aren't laws by any degree. They are simply the requirements you need in order to maintain citizenship. And if you don't maintain those requirements, you can just be asked to leave. And that's a big enough punishment. Let the macronations deal with the people who are actually going to cause problems. We are focusing on people who are trying to have this creative, positive effort and move us in the right direction. We don't have the resources to deal with people who are actively trying to cause problems and try to keep them in our group. It's not the best way to go about it. Frog says Skundungus. Leona says capitalism is the problem. Government interference in capitalism is the problem. Continent Man says thanks, Taylor. Kier McClone says I understand. I appreciate it. As well, let me jump over real quick to Chrome, where we are trying to discuss macronational topics. We're talking about the U.S. So the first thing in our U.S. topics that I want to bring up, literally talking about the U.S. being on fire. There is a huge drought in the West. Now, people already know this because we've had so many different fires out in California and in all these western states and Washington and Oregon. But now the water level in Lake Mead is incredibly low. Lake Mead offers fresh, clean drinking water to thousands and thousands of residents of the Oregon, Washington, Northern California areas. And that can be hugely problematic for the U.S.'s infrastructure. So environmental climate change has been affecting the United States and the world for decades now, and we still consistently keep ignoring it. The macronational community keeps ignoring it, and so it's an issue because, especially in the U.S. now, they're seeing the ramifications of it. It is causing economic impacts. It is causing impacts on people's health and well-being. And because the government hasn't been designed and organized around specifically doing what is best for its people in any given moment, it is instead focused on party politics. There's always this standstill when it comes to an important critical issue like environmental climate change, and now the effects are coming through. So we're about to see what's happening there. I'm going to play this clip from CBS This Morning, and we're going to talk about it.
Gripping much of the western U.S., scientists are calling it a mega drought brought on by climate change. Now look at this map. The latest U.S. drought monitor map shows large areas of the Southwest are exceptionally dry. That's never good. The worst category is taking a dramatic toll on the Colorado River system that provides water to 40 million people in 7 different states. CBS News senior environmental correspondent, that's Ben Tracy, traveled to the iconic Hoover Dam and shows us how the federal government may be forced to make a drastic and historic decision.
It's amazing to see it up close.
For more than 8 decades, the Hoover Dam has relied on water from Nevada's Lake Mead to cover up its backside. But now at age 85, it finds itself uncomfortably exposed. Much of the water the dam is supposed to be holding back is gone.
This is like a different world.
Oh my gosh. So that's one of the things. First off, this lady looks ridiculous. Second off, 85 years old. This dam is only 85 years old. There were dams which have provided protection, energy, water for people for hundreds of years. There are some dams around the world who are just continually being improved and monitored. 85 years old. The US is like 200 something years old. And already the infrastructure is failing and falling apart. Oh gosh, it's such a big issue. Okay. Um hmm. This is ridiculous. Okay, let's keep watching to see what this lady has to say.
Mulroy is the former head of the Southern Nevada Water Authority. She says Lake Mead, the nation's largest reservoir, is on track to soon hit its lowest level ever recorded. This part of the Colorado River system is a crucial water supply for Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Southern California. It makes the vast agricultural land of the desert Southwest possible.
I don't know why I said the Northwest earlier. Southwest, my apologies.
I mean, just look at the bathtub rings. To me, that is an enormous wake-up call.
Lake Mead is at just 37% of its capacity. It hasn't been full since back in 2000 when the water came right up to the top of Hoover Dam. This is what it looks like now.
Since 2000, Lake Mead has dropped 130 feet. That's hard to imagine, but picture a third.
So since 2000, so 21 years. It hadn't even been the full 75. 21 years. And that huge reservoir is almost gone. It's almost done. It's not there anymore. It doesn't exist. Oh gosh, this is terrible. Trudeau says, why can't we get better weather? I don't think it has anything to do with weather. It's not like, ooh, it's a little warm out, so it's not, there's a mega drought. No, it's because the entire Earth's temperature has been raised. It's because that increase in temperature is affecting weather patterns all around the world and is actually creating more and more places that are just dry spots that don't get hit by the ever decreasing amounts of fresh water that we have populating the skies and creating rain cover. It's a huge issue.
10-story building on top of my head, and way up there, that's where the water used to be. So you and I talked here back in 2014, and at that time I asked you, how critical a point are we at?
It's a pretty critical point.
If you look at 30 feet lower now, what point are we at?
We're at a tipping point. It's an existential issue for Arizona, for California, for Nevada. It is just that simple.
That's one of the things that's crazy too. I want to bring this up. So the Yes California people, they are talking about trying to leave the United States. They're talking about all these problems in the United States. That is one of the things that's a weird, contentious issue because there are certain beneficial benefits to being a state in the United States. Trying to like pull part of one country off of another country is weird. Pulling a piece of a country off of itself is weird because there's so much ability to like overlap and help and give like benefit in different areas. One of them is this. Lake Mead provides water into California. If California leaves, Lake Mead's not going to be there to help it. The Colorado River is not going to be able to help it. As well, though, Lake Mead is drying up. So it is an interesting thing because I feel like the people who are trying to secede could be like, oh, well, we're not getting much benefit from it anyway. There are plenty of other reasons for California not to secede because of how well the connection is to the United States. But I will say It's weird. It's so weird that the U.S. is just like Arizona, California, Nevada. It's fine. It's fine that there's like these huge life-threatening issues happening there because of climate change. Oh well. Oh no. Oh goodness. That sucks. There are people just. Oh gosh, in the worst of conditions. Economic things are increasing their price hikes. In California already, in places that are really heavily populated, you already know there are very large costs of living. People are struggling already to some degree. It is tragic to see that they are being pushed even further. Because you know this doesn't affect the wealthiest of the wealthy. This is going to be affecting the people who are already struggling to pay their rent, who are already struggling to pay their water bill, who are already just trying to survive. You know that those are going to be the people who get run over by this bus of tragedy that is just sweeping through right now.
For the first time ever, the
Gosh.
federal government is expected to declare a water shortage on the lower Colorado River later this summer. That will force automatic cuts to the water supply for Nevada and Arizona starting in 2022. Homeowners have higher priority and at first won't feel the pain as badly as farmers.
If we don't have irrigation water,
Oh gosh. So there is just going to be a huge drought which is gonna like cause farms to tank. Some of the US's biggest infrastructure and biggest support is around the farmland that it has. The US supplies a ton of agriculture to the entire world. And that is gonna be horrible. Oh gosh. So there's just this climate change which is affecting the Colorado River. They're gonna shut off water from the Lake Mead Dam to Arizona and Nevada, which is going to absolutely topple their agriculture. Places where there is a ton of agriculture for the U.S. because there's a lot of open land that can be developed there, and is now just going to be made useless and is going to tank even more of the U.S. economy because they can no longer produce that agriculture. And you know who's going to pick up the slack on that agriculture? Every other country. Other countries are just going to start picking that up, and it's going to be an issue.
we can't farm.
Dan Thielander is a second-generation family farmer in Arizona's Pinal County. The water to grow his corn and alfalfa fields comes from Lake Mead.
So next year, we're going to get about 25% less water, means we're going to have to fallow or not plant 25% of our land.
In 2023, Thielander and other farmers in this part of Arizona are expected to lose nearly all of their water from Lake Mead. So they're rushing to dig wells to pump groundwater to try to save their farms.
The future here, honestly, I hate to say it, but it's pretty cloudy.
This is an engineering marvel for sure.
I like that one.
No,
I like that one. That's the look.
it was under.
Yeah, it's supposed to be under.
Oh, it's weird.
That's the look.
It's weird.
Thank
It's weird.
you. Tiffany's changing up the look out here. It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, so this is absolutely terrible. The farmer they're saying 25% of their crops just won't be able to be used next year. 25%. These are farmers who provide like because all of these farms get specialized because of how large their thing is. So this one farmer may work for like Tyson chicken or whatever and be like, okay, so we do 25% less chicken. This chicken goes everywhere in the United States, 25% less now. Carrots. Oh, this farmer does nothing but carrots, 25% less. Oh, this person does nothing but soybeans, 25% less. And this is a huge, huge, huge farm. That's going to affect some impact. It's going to affect some impact in Arizona and Nevada first, but everywhere else as well.
Even more so since every year the land keeps increasing because it's getting a higher population.
That's true. Tiffany brought up a great point. The U.S. population is increasing. It continues to increase, and the world population is increasing by a lot. Demand for those resources is really, really heavy, and so it is absolutely terrible that we are getting into like these resource scarce conditions where population is continuing to rise and putting us on a track to not be able to do so. Yeah, to not be able to take care of people, to make resources even more scarce. This is some concerning stuff, you guys.
I guess
I don't know about all this.
COVID is really enough people for us to still survive on our own resources.
Goodness, it's serious. Also, Leanna says hi, Tiffany.
Greetings, Leona.
Oh wow, this is terrible.
Sure. Back at Hoover Dam, facility manager Mark Cook has his own concerns. Lake Mead has dropped so much that it's cut the dam's hydropower output by nearly 25%.
So these are generating the electricity.
Oh gosh, and then as well, Lake Mead's power output 25% lower, so electricity costs going up, fresh water is going up, price of food is going up. Those things are area specific for Nevada and Arizona, but they are national as far as their effect, especially on our agriculture and on our population. Those big power generators and stuff though are going to make it even harder for those farmers. Like the farmers talking about 25% less crops. What about when your whole power gets shut off? What about then? What about when you can't run anything because everything's being shut down? What about when, hospitals and stuff are struggling to find power because your area's largest power source is just gone?
Yep, exactly.
He wanted to show us the new turbine blades they just installed.
So right below us right here is that brand new turbine.
Designed to keep the power flowing efficiently at rapidly dropping lake levels. At some point, the dam could stop producing electricity altogether.
Our previous number was at elevation 1050, and now we've lowered that number to 950. So we bought ourselves 100 feet. All those islands were underwater.
Completely submerged.
Pat Mulroy says a rapidly retreating reservoir may be the new normal, and the millions of people who rely on this water supply will have to quickly learn to live with less of it.
We don't change unless we absolutely have to. But when you look at it this lake, I think that moment of it's absolutely necessary has arrived.
For CBS This Morning, Ben Tracy, Lake Mead, Nevada.
Goodness, this is so sad. So sad. I have more topics as well. So sad. Okay. So you think that's bad? As well, we have some like moral issues to take care of. One of the things that I saw not too long ago, there's already problems with policing in the U.S. We already know there are problems with policing in the U.S. There's already a lot of issues going on with that. There's a sheriff's office in Pasco County, Florida, that has been tracking kids that they think will be criminals. They get data from the schools there. They get data from juvenile detention centers, and they will go and harass people's families and their kids to get them to either leave the state or just to put more people in jail. It sucks because there is like a prison industrial complex. There is this, privatized prison industry which encourages people to be put in prison, and a lot of these policing efforts in areas like that, well, all over the U.S., but a lot of these policing efforts have difficulty and issue because at the top of their hierarchy, they are encouraged to be making more arrests and to be pushing for more development of those jails and jail systems. So, because that's where a lot of their money comes from. So it's a whole issue. We're going to take a look at this though. People being harassed. This is
Web Info 2012. Before we got here. This is Bobby. Oldest, second oldest, third oldest, debating.
Robert Jones and his family moved to Pasco County, Florida in 2015 after their oldest son Bobby was kicked out of a neighboring school district for fighting. Soon, they were visited by the sheriff's Strategic Targeted Area Response, or STAR unit, which was created to, quote, hunt down prolific offenders. It was the first of many visits to come.
Pinellas County Sheriff's Department wanted to come by and introduce the STAR team to my family. We heard about your son in the other county. We want you guys to know that we'll be keeping an eye on you.
A few days later, deputies arrested Bobby, claiming they'd found sandwich bags with trace amounts of weed during their first visit. He was 15 at the time. Bobby was acquitted of the charges, but then the sheriff's office seemed to turn their focus to Robert.
They started coming every day, 3, 4, 5. They didn't even wait for me to come home. They'd come home early when my kids were home and bang on the windows and doors. And, where's your dad at? Where's your brother at?
Robert says the STAR team started ticketing him for things like his grass being too high or his address being hard to see from the street.
Well, the numbers aren't very visible from the roadway because of the lights in the way. It has a 0 on it, but still, I think I can go with that because the lights in the way.
But then,
Oh my gosh. That's just scary feeling though. I don't know. To have the police walking around your house being like, "Oh, the numbers aren't visible. Oh, the grass is too short. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Looks like we're getting someone in trouble." That sounds Oh gosh, this sounds scary. I don't know. Who do you call? You can't call the other police, do you? What do you do? What do you do when the police
and he
keep
alleges
bothering you?
they'd hold on to the tickets and arrest him for failing to appear at his court date.
So they would just keep them. They'd just keep the tickets off to the side. Like they would be like, "Oh, your grass is too long. I'm writing that one down and I'm keeping it in my notebook. Oh, your numbers can't be seen. I'm writing that down. I'm keeping it in my notebook." And then all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, you didn't appear in court." It's like, "What? I didn't know I had to appear in court." "Yeah, well, we knew that you didn't, so now you're going to jail."
Over
God.
6 months, he was arrested 5 times.
5 times in 6 months, almost once every single month, if not one of the times being twice in a month. This man was arrested. They showed up to his house and arrested him 5 different times in half a year. How do you hold down a job with that? How do you? Oh God!
The arrests only stopped when he packed up his family and fled the county.
They just
Then
threw him
last
out.
year, Robert found out he and his family weren't alone.
A recent investigation by the Tampa Bay Times revealed the Pasco County Sheriff's Office is listing more than 400 at-risk students as potential future criminals.
The Tampa Bay Times investigation found that the Pasco County Sheriff's Office has maintained a secret database of people they think are likely to break the law, calling it intelligence-led policing. The agency also uses information shared by the school district and Florida Department of Children and Families, like attendance records, grades, and details about students' home life. The data then is used to track, quote, juveniles who are at risk of becoming prolific offenders.
Oh, it's my son. Yeah. Got my phone off the counter.
The list
So one of the things I really want to address real quick in the chat, I want to keep going back to this, but I want to go back to the story. But Kiram Clome asks, so it's not a good idea to grab land when America falls, is it? No. So that's the thing. Hold on. We need to address this. We should be trying to help the U.S. We should be trying to encourage positivity and assistance in the U.S. The reason micronations need macronations to some degree to survive. If there's large macronational conflicts, it is very hard for any micronational organization to be able to rise successfully, because in a very heated zone, people aren't going to bat an eye with the removal of some smaller group, much less if they're not batting an eye at the removal of an entire nation. The second thing, you want to be a positive, peaceful force in supporting other communities. That's the biggest reason why I say micronations shouldn't secede. They should be just creating independent areas themselves. You shouldn't try and take the land from another nation to start your own nation. You should start your own nation on ground that is yours. The thing that is so, and to the varying degrees of legality that more and more independent land allows for. But you shouldn't be trying to just physically remove that from another nation. And as well, you shouldn't You shouldn't try to. That's other people's land. Other people rely on that. They need that. If you are successful enough and capable enough to be able to provide for yourself and to provide for other people in a better, more efficient way, do so, but don't rob other people of their ability to survive and to keep the assets that they have maintained by being in and supporting another system. The people who are getting hurt worst by this are the people who are the poorest, the people who are in the most debt, the people who have the least education. All of those people are the people who are getting affected by this. And so if you went in after large issues in the United States and then started causing more problems and started taking land from people and started, even if that was possible, it is incredibly, incredibly negative to do so, because all you're doing is hurting the worst affected people. Get those people to help you and to support you, and then of their own free will and interest, and then you can do what you want. You can move those people to other places. Just don't take it away from the people who choose to live there and to call that their home. So that's the big thing. Kier McClellan says. Kier McClellan says, I want to encourage positivity, but the U.S. is beyond help, in my opinion. I can understand that. I have fundamental issues with the way that things are set up, but I think it's really interesting. I support the people in the U.S. I don't support government action all the time, and I feel like that's a big difference and a big drawing line for me. Um, Cam McClellan says, I didn't mean taking land, I just meant if theoretically the USA were to fall apart, wouldn't that mean multiple micronations could claim the land? No. Again, the people living there would still be like, we're a part of the US, it just fell apart. We just want to be okay. You shouldn't kick people when they're down. You know what I mean? Because then you would claim that land, and then people would be like, no, but it actually still is my land. I just don't have a state to represent it. So then should they create their own micronations? But that's a divisive thing, and that makes it hard to start infrastructure. No, you should let those people keep the land they have.
Like the people who keep trying to take the houses from Palestine.
Yep, that's a great point. If you're against Israelis coming in and taking Palestinian land, you should be against micronations going in and taking U.S. land. Like, it, it's a similar thing only because of the idea of a state not being able to fully function and support its people, and then another more powerful state coming in and being like, well, we're just scooping you away. It's just ours now. So that's a hard thing. Kim McClellan says, fair, I get it now. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be trying to encourage those people who have been screwed over to support your cause and to get on board with you. You should absolutely be doing that. Just don't take away the things that are giving them the little value they have, you know? Kim McClellan says, I wish they would vote for people, not parties. Agrees. Leanna says, Kim McClellan, the U.S. isn't beyond all hope. The problem is simple, and so is the solution. Americans have been voting for Democrats and Republicans for too long. They need to vote for another party. But there's been so many. There have been the Whigs, and there have been all these different parties. It's a lot. It's a lot. But yeah, let's jump through, see what the rest of it. There are more crazy topics we're gonna get into. Leanna was talking about insurrection. There's about to be some talk about insurrection. I don't like the insurrection stuff that's happening. It's an issue.
Have never
We'll
been
talk-
made
we'll talk
public,
about it.
but Robert assumes Bobby's name was added as soon as they moved to the county.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from but this is now County Jail. To accept this call, press 0.
Hey kid, first off, how you doing?
Bobby is 21 now and in jail awaiting trial for an assault charge.
I'm just wondering how you're doing and what's this experience been like for you these last couple of years?
Life just got harder and harder and harder. Even though I was trying to do better at first, they pull up as much as possible. So harassed me, they pull like, it just was nonstop. It was like every day, like multiple times a day.
Bobby, did the deputies ever say that they were ever going to try to help you?
Well, yeah, I would say the first day that I went, that's what they said their intentions were. Like, when they introduced themselves to the DC, before, I didn't really understand what they meant. And that's when I realized what their true intentions were.
So that's what I want to bring up real quick. So there are, he got an assault charge. That seems like unrelated. That seems like his own thing. So the reason he's in jail may not be because of that direct harassment, actively, but still harassing his family, still, making it a harder situation, even for someone who is potentially trying to improve their life. It is weird, it may have some background effects. That's not good. And it certainly could have an effect on other people, on younger kids, on people who may be more emotionally disturbed, people who may, you know, that's some serious stress. That could cause someone some serious psychological turmoil. Going around harassing their
Robert
family
is
and
part
stuff.
of a lawsuit against Pasco County Sheriff Chris Naka. All four plaintiffs are alleging harassment and claim the program violated their constitutional rights during search and seizures. Sheriff Naka has denied the claims, defended the constitutionality of the ILP program, and moved to dismiss the case. The school district is also facing backlash for its part in the ILP program. This spring, a coalition of parents and national civil rights groups joined together to push the district to stop sharing information with the police indefinitely.
I had one student one every day he wrote on a sticky, and I legit kept every single sticky.
Some of these things are like over 6 years old.
They're over 6 years. They're like over 10 years old. Like some of these things.
Brittany Powell, a member of the coalition and former teacher in the school district, witnessed firsthand how detrimental the program has been for students.
So when you were working in the Pasco County School District, what was your knowledge of this program, and did you even know that it existed when it came to your own students?
No, I didn't know that it existed when I was teaching. I've seen, students that were either LGBTQ, students of color that were overly disciplined. I've seen that happen plenty of times where students that are technically good kids that just actually need a real chance, but they're being judged on who they are and where they came from and what their records say.
This is okay. So first off, I want to address everybody who just came in. William Butcher, thank you so much for joining us. Thomas96, thank you so much for joining us. William said he just joined the stream and he's a new micronation. I recommend you check out our micronational economics series. I actually posted a link to that all the way at the beginning of the stream if you want to check out that. But as well, we have been dealing a lot in developing our micronations. If you check out our playlists, if you check out the beginning of our stuff, we have a lot to inform you on about how to create and develop a micronation if you're interested in that, a realist micronation. And we even describe the difference between realist and fantasy micronations. As well, Leanna says she'll be right back. Good to see you, Leanna. Can't wait. So this is the big issue, right? Is that it's affecting kids. If you have a kid who's a problem, right? You discipline the kid. You deal with the issues. You try to teach them better ways of living, and you show them the consequences between living the way that they are versus the benefits of being able to supply for themselves and being able to impart value in themselves and get an education and grow their opportunities. Grow their valuation as a person to the rest of society. But when you're constantly pushing pressure on a kid's head, especially when that pressure is, well, you're nothing but a delinquent, you're nothing but a problem, I could see that getting to kids. How do you get an education when every day, you're getting sent to the principal's office for something when you're not, if there's that much problem with a kid, if you're having that much difficulty with a kid, they should be getting legitimate help. They should be you should be working with their family. You should be working with, somebody to try and get them help and to guide them in the proper direction. Figure out what the root cause is. Try and assist. Don't be pressuring the kid into some weird pseudo submission that ends up worse and targeting them for jail, which will permanently affect their life, prevent them from getting jobs in the future, prevent them from getting an education, prevent them from getting student loans. You are cornering off a section of the population and saying, you know what, we've targeted you, you're not going to make it. I just want you to know from the get, you're on our list.
Mostly
Horrible.
with kids. What effects have you seen on kids that are met or have contact with police at such a young age?
That's probably going to require it because I've seen students feel less of themselves, feel like they can't make it because they already know how everyone else sees them. So I might as well live up to what everyone else's expectations of me are. After a while, that tears at you. All of those little cuts, they tear at you and they change who you are to the point that sometimes students give up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So that's why, even though I'm not there in the classroom, I can't stop fighting for them.
I've never felt.
She was torn up about that. That was gross. That was so sad. She's like, please just help these kids.
Kurt Browning has said publicly that he was unaware the sheriff's office was using school data to identify students as future criminals. We tried to speak with him about these claims, but he denied our request for an interview. After months of pressure, the board did agree to stop sharing private data with school resource officers for now, without saying what's going to happen next school year. It wasn't enough.
As well, Leanna said she may have to leave because she has to check her weather app. They had a storm moving in. Good luck, Leanna. We wish you the best. Good luck in the storm. Please, I hope everybody's safe. I hope everybody does well. And I can't wait to see you soon. Oh, gosh. Kino Vanny, hello. Truto, hello. Kiram Clone, hello.
To satisfy the coalition or to stop the U.S. Department of Education from investigating the district. Earlier this spring, they started looking into whether the school violated FERPA, a federal privacy law which prohibits students' records from being shared. The district said in a statement that all contracts with the sheriff's office include, quote, safeguards for the proper use of student information. But the national privacy groups in the coalition say those safeguards don't adequately protect students' rights, and the program itself is racist.
When parents or students have no idea whether they're on the list, you end up not being able to have due process to be able to challenge the information that's being used to say that they are going to become prolific offenders. And even if the information is correct, we know that there is massive implicit bias, and so the data is likely skewed. It likely has many more Black and brown students than it does white students.
Can you talk about what some of those violations were in this program?
There is about 20,000 names sent from the school district to the sheriff's office. It sounds like on a routine basis. The minute that those 20,000 student names were sent over to the sheriff's office, that's a FERPA violation. Flat out.
This school
The
district
sheriff's
don't even
office
care.
said NACO was unavailable for an interview, but sent a statement saying the prolific offender program does not use an algorithm to predict criminal behavior and, quote, only considers an individual's criminal history and does not use any additional factors.
Then why do you need the other
They also
information?
say
though?
that previous reporting conflated several unrelated issues, like probation checks and code enforcement issues, but that prolific offender checks are meant to provide people with resources.
So tell me about this wall of faces. Who are we looking at here?
Current or former Pasco Sheriff's Office employees.
But former narcotics officer Chris Stallings says that's not what he saw during his 20 years with the agency.
It says wall of shame.
This is mostly heads of departments and bureaus.
Do you still have a relationship with anybody here?
Not a single one. I've been completely ostracized from the entire agency.
Dang.
The first glimpse I got as a narcotics sergeant, I would get the daily morning reports. It is the significant activity for all units in a 24-hour period. I started noticing that patrol deputies were going to certain locations at least 4 times, 3 or 4 times during a 24-hour period. And that was a red flag.
Former
Harassing
deputies,
people 4
including
times a
Stallings,
day.
have filed several lawsuits against Sheriff Nocco and his department.
Oh, and
Sheriff
even the
Nocco
police
denies
are
the
suing
claims
him.
and has
His
moved to
own
dismiss
police
them.
department suing
In
him and
Stallings'
saying
case,
stop doing
he
it.
says he was personally retaliated against for speaking out against ILP, among other issues.
I have a problem with it because even if the person was doing multiple crimes, why we keep going back over and over again, over and over and over again?
Were they going back with warrants?
No. No, it's knocking on the doors.
A lot of these
Attorney
tactics
forever,
is
Leona.
being labeled as harassment. Do you agree with that assessment?
Yes, it is. And it's sad because I do believe that intelligence-led policing can be beneficial and work, but the way it's happened there, no, it's harassment. It's egregious. It's disgusting.
Own a business? You're gonna want to hear this.
Okay,
If you own a
let me-
business,
hold
you
on.
need Next
Let me get these
Insurance.
ads
Type your
on.
business, select your.
Okay, there we go. This is ridiculous. Okay, so we're gonna jump off that video. But this is ridiculous. Oh my gosh. For real. Police just straight up spying on people. Okay. Next one, gun violence. This one's maybe a more sensitive topic, but there's just gun violence all over. We already know about this. We already know it's something that's happening in the U.S. If you live in the U.S. or if you've heard any news about the U.S. in the last, 20 years, you know that there's been rampant gun violence. But gun violence, even at that level, is still
in just the
increasing.
first half of this year, and it's happening in public places. This body camera.
Gosh, let's start from the
Authorities in Miami-Dade County are investigating the second mass shooting there in just a week. One victim killed, 6 wounded, and 2 suspects dying during their getaway. And here in New York, a 10-year-old little boy shot and killed inside his home by a bullet fired from outside. Hundreds of children victims of gun violence this year. Here's ABC's Janae Norman.
Hundreds.
Tonight, yet another family devastated as the list grows of young lives cut short by a startling surge of gun violence. Police in Queens, New York, looking for the suspect they say opened fire into a home overnight, killing Justin Wallace just days before his 11th birthday and hitting his uncle in the shoulder.
What? He just shot into the house. He just shot straight into the house. It wasn't even like a... What? Gosh. Also, when is it enough? When is it... It's kids. You know what I mean? Like... Horrible. People argue about gun violence all the time. People argue about what the correct answer is. Kids are dying. It's kids that are getting affected. What?
A bullet just come straight through the window. You know, it's like, are we safe home or are we safe outside? Where are we safe at?
Such stories are heartbreaking, but the statistics showing how often gun violence is leaving families grieving innocent children caught in gunfire are gut-wrenching. So far this year, at least 307 children under the age of 11 have been injured by gun violence, 129 killed. But for teens ages 12 to 17, the numbers are even more devastating. Nearly 1,300 injured and more than 500 losing their lives to gun violence in just the first half of this year. And it's happening in public places. This body camera video showing an NYPD officer rushing to help a 4-year-old girl hit by gunfire in Times Square last month. Just days later in Minneapolis, 6-year-old Anaya Allen was shot in the head while riding in a car with her mom, later dying at the hospital. And in April, a plea from Tawny McMullen after her 7-year-old niece, Jaslyn Adams, was shot and killed in a Chicago McDonald's drive-thru.
Please put the guns down, please. My 8-year-old baby says she don't even want to go out and play because she's scared she's going to get shot.
Damn.
Too scared to go outside and play. Janae Norman joins us now. Just
She's
a tragic
scared she's gonna
situation.
get shot.
What do we know about
This
the
little
overall trend
girl.
in gun violence?
Horrible.
Oh, Lindsay, we know it's not good. 2020, a year when so many of us were at home, we saw nearly 20,000 Americans die by gun violence, not counting suicide. And that was up nearly 25% from the year before. In 2021, doesn't appear to be letting up. And one concern, Lindsay, is that in 2021, suicide. And that was up nearly 1,000 Americans die by. Saw nearly 20,000 Americans die by gun violence, not counting
20,000.
suicide.
We have 200 million people in the U.S. 20,000
And that was up nearly
died
25%
last year from gun violence. What?
from the year before. In 2021, doesn't appear to be letting up. And one concern, Lindsay, is that summer is usually when we see that crime rates go up, just as more Americans are getting out. Lindsay.
Janae, thanks.
God, so there's going to be even more gun violence. Crazy. One of the final topics, which I wish Leona was here for, she had to go, but I know this is going to be one that, thank you, Kieran Clone. She said my camera froze. It sure did. I fixed it. Drew said it's good now. Oh gosh. Okay, I want to bring up two more topics which are actually really connected. The insurrection stuff and Trump. This is gonna be a whole thing. But real quick, let's look at some of this. Okay. So I don't know if you guys have been following, but there have been people trying to do like Capitol breaches again, and it's not just in the U.S. Capitol either. There's one in Oregon Capitol in which a Republican lawmaker told people, "Hey, come break into the Oregon Capitol, come and mess shit up," and he does it in a weird like wink like tongue-in-cheek way, and I hate it. It's gross.
Personal phone number. There is some new video.
Gosh.
And
Okay,
it
just
appears
check
to
this
show
out.
an Oregon state lawmaker giving insights, advice on how to access.
I like how they're like support the stream at PayPal, Venmo, Cash App for this guy who's like come and cause like a mass shoot, come and cause problems. Horrible.
The state capitol there. This includes giving out his personal phone number should someone need it for help. Republican State Rep Mike Neerman is accused of allowing protesters into the closed Capitol building while lawmakers were
That's the boy. That's the boy. He just walked out and let him in. Caught him.
debating coronavirus restrictions. He has been charged now with first-degree official misconduct and second-degree criminal trespass. CNN early start co-anchor
They're literally
Laura Jarrett
fighting,
joins
like,
us now. I mean, we knew
they're
that he had done
fighting them
something
all.
or was alleged to do something pretty crazy. This ups the ante.
Ups the ante for sure, Brianna. Mike Neerman says he has been the victim of mob justice, but this newly surfaced video suggests the Republican state rep giving a real-life mob access to the state capitol was no accident. In the video posted on YouTube, you can hear Neerman answering questions from the audience about access to the building, even though it's closed to the public, and telling them where to stand and who to text once they're there.
Yeah, we're talking about setting up Operation Hall Pass, which I don't know anything about. And if you accuse me of knowing something about it, I'll deny it. But there would be some person's cell phone, which might be 971-27. But that was just random numbers that I spewed up. That's not anybody's actual cell phone. And if you say, I'm at the west entrance during a session and text to that number there, that somebody might exit that door while you're standing there.
That bleeping you just heard a second ago was Neerman giving out what he said was just a random set of numbers. But CNN confirmed, in fact, it is his cell phone number. Now, it's unclear if Neerman understood at the time he was being recorded, as you heard all the tips he's offering, seemingly with a wink and a nod of prepared denials. But the scheme that he seems to sketch out here, Operation Hall Pass, well, it's remarkably similar to what actually happens 5 days later. That's when an armed group showed up at the Capitol, and security footage shows Neerman exiting through a side door, leaving it open just long enough for the protesters to get through. Now, as you mentioned, he's facing criminal charges.
They are like the like state troopers are having to physically push armed people back out the door. He just let them in. He trained them on how to do it and then let them in. Why? That's what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. When, you know, when people are like, oh, there's so many problems and there's so much stuff going on, what do we do about it? Don't hurt other people. Just don't. If your idea for solving a problem that you disagree with, if your idea for how to defeat your political enemies is ever hurt people, kill people, don't do it. Don't think about it. Find a better solution. That's the worst possible solution. Doesn't help anybody. Gosh. They're killing people. They're trying to kill people.
Charges, but he's still in office. A committee is set to meet this week on whether Neerman violated Capitol rules and decide the consequences if
you can't immediately just throw somebody in jail for almost causing like a shooting.
any form, Brianna.
Wow, what was he thinking there? Seeing him say that to folks at that event. Laura Jarrett, thank you.
He like coached his own supporters on how to cause an insurrection, like a local insurrection. What? Gosh. Okay. And this is the last of the topics. Trump is like really hype about those guys though. He's really hype about people doing insurrection stuff, and you'll never guess why. You couldn't even fathom why Trump would be hype about people doing stuff like that.
Former President Donald Trump has been asking advisors if he could somehow reassume the presidency this year.
That might be the reason. My man wants to jump back in power in August. He doesn't want to wait for another election. He's like, just let this mob of people cause chaos and then put me back in.
Despite losing the election to now.
When Hitler didn't make it into office the first time, Hitler went and like attacked the what was it called?
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a whole
so that way
thing.
he could prove that his opponent that he lost to
Couldn't
isn't-
support the Yep. Yeah.
doesn't meet the requirements to be in office.
Yeah.
President Joe Biden. A well-placed source familiar with the conversation tells our Jim Acosta tonight that Trump has been hearing the same far-fetched suggestions from conservative commentators and allies, and has then, internalized that and gone to ask others, quote, what do you think of this? What do you think of this theory? So Jim Acosta's out front. Jim, this is.
So one
it's
thing
just
that's really interesting. Hold up. People are saying, in the comments, people are saying both sides are the same but with different ideas. No, I don't know about it. If one of the sides is like gun violence, if one of the sides is like overthrow stuff, sides aren't the same. The sides aren't the same. I'm not saying that, everybody on one side is that way, but I'm saying it is an issue if anybody on your side is like, gun violence is the answer, for sure. Yep, for sure. Just hurt people. The issue is there's this like really intense right-wing extremism that exists, and it becomes a feedback loop, specifically because the administrations and the GOP leadership, the conservative government officials, find it really popular to be a sounding board for that most extremist ideology within their party. So when those people are starting to make that the norm of the party because they know it will get them more votes, then that makes their base more and more extreme because, well, all of the official government are telling us this is the right ideology to think about. So sure, I support the Republic. I'm going to jump in with, all these crazy extremist conservatives. It creates a feedback loop, and it feeds up to people like Donald Trump, who were like, I can just walk back into office in August because people are telling me they want to put me back in. Perfect. You know what I mean? He's hype about it. It's terrible. You shouldn't. And he says, fake name says AP both sides suck. I don't think Joe Biden's doing great. I don't think he's helping things. One side's trying to literally overthrow things. I feel like there's a difference. I feel like you can disagree with people's political opinions. You can disagree with, which route is the better route to take when talking about going through the system correctly. You can support conservatism or liberalism as an ideology anytime, and say the other one you don't support. Anytime anyone's saying gun violence, anytime anyone's saying we need to overthrow things violently, wrong. Wrong all the way. And that is the conservative point right now. That's what a lot of extremist conservatives are talking about. It's not cool. Fake name says, okay, now I'm mad. Right-wing extremism. Seriously, I had to sit in fear through the summer of 2020 because Black Lives Matter burned everything. I don't know, fake name. I don't know. Were you were personally scared about Black Lives Matter protesters attacking you? Like, I don't know. Drew says, can't get mad just because your president is Failing, agreed. Like, yeah. So if you didn't support Joe Biden getting into office, that's fine. I didn't vote. I didn't, I don't have a hard stance on it. I think Joe Biden's doing bad. But regardless of your opinions, don't you if you voted and you use that process to be your claim to power and to supporting a government, you shouldn't be trying to like then overthrow the person who did get democratically elected. I don't know about all that. Fake news says both sides are extreme. Don't throw it all on right wing extremism. Right wing extremism seems to be the primary cause of like a lot of the mass shootings that have been happening. Like you don't hear of a ton of like Black Lives Matter mass shootings. You hear of protests. You may hear of like looting and stuff like that. But there's a difference between a store got burned, a building got a police car got burned versus 30 people are dead and someone tried to rush the Capitol. It's very different. It's very different. I disagree.
I know it's like La La Land,
I
but
don't
this
think
is
it's the same
bizarre that
thing.
we're even having this conversation. How
Um,
seriously is Trump believing this insane theory?
It's insane. It's very disturbing, Aaron, but he believes it. He thinks that there's some chance that he could somehow be reinstated as president somehow this year. And what he's been doing over the last several weeks is reaching out to advisors, reaching out to allies, and they've basically been trying to talk him off the ledge, Aaron. What Trump has been asking, I'm told by one source, one well-placed source familiar with these conversations, he's been asking, what do you think of this theory? And what this one advisor told me is that he's been told it's not true. Now, this advisor who is familiar with these conversations went on to say that it doesn't appear that Trump really believes that he could somehow be reinstated or assume the presidency later on this year. But this source went on to say, listen, Trump is listening to all kinds of things these days, and he is trying to grasp at straws to see if there's some way that he can get back into the White House. And this source went on to describe these.
Ooh, first off, someone subscribed. Hey, Nova Trixum, thank you so much for subscribing. That means a lot. I appreciate you. As well, this is part of the thing. Trump just wants to get back into office. That's the entire thing. Is Trump just wants to get back into office. There are bigger problems that we just talked about that have a lot more to do with the actual U.S. just not being a stable place in a lot of areas, and with these party politics dividing everything. That's the thing that's weird about it, right? Is that you have like massive gun violence, corruption in like not only police departments but in other like government agencies all over. You have like massive droughts. You have climate change, which is destroying things. You have like a really divided country. You have states talking about like secessionism. Like you have all these issues, and then the biggest issue on Donald Trump's mind is how am I going to get back in office? The biggest, gosh. There's there are different lawmakers saying, "Oh, we need to storm Capitol buildings and stuff." Why aren't you trying to make economic change for the people who support you? I don't understand. I I don't like this. I don't like at all that the U.S. is causing these problems.
Conversations as, quote, very dangerous. And so, Aaron, it does seem that the former president is not letting this lie. He is.
Also, I wanna bring something up as well. Kier McClellan says, I may be wrong. It may be wrong of me to say this since I shouldn't speak for AP, but if you think uh, Black Lives Matter is a hate group of any kind, I don't believe you're welcome here. So yeah, first off, Black Lives Matter is not a hate group. They're like a political organization. You may not support that political organization, but the reason that it's so important for us to have different people of different ideologies and different beliefs here, especially people who would think that something that is a civil rights movement is a hate group of some kind, is simply because you don't want to push those people out. You don't want to exclude those people. You want to talk to people and have a civilized debate, a civilized conversation that may pull them somewhat more into the moderative. Because people who feel ostracized and feel pushed out of a community for what they believe are only going to get more fervent in that belief and more extreme in that belief. So, no, you should be trying to educate people, trying to bring legitimate facts and sources to back up your evidence. And instead of trying to just remove people. Because if you can make a difference in the way that someone sees the world, that's a lot better than isolating them and then being the next like mass shooting person. Don't do it. Um, um, so that's the whole thing. We should be able to have open debates here. It shouldn't be if you're of this ideology or this ideology, you aren't welcome here. People are welcome here in general. We just need to keep the debate civilized, and I think you guys are. You guys are talking about legitimate things. You guys are all trying to express your opinions. But yes, you should be trying to educate and inform each other realistically. There's not going to be any like hate speech. There's not going to be anything like that. So far today, everything's been great. I don't think there's any issue with the debate you guys are having. I would just say, yes, we want to be able to have solid conversations, solid debates, without trying to kick certain people out. But I will state my opinions on the different things as they go through. This is important.
Reaching out to people, and people at this point are trying to talk him back into the real world, which is, of course, where he has not been residing lately because he has been believing and investing in these far-fetched ideas.
Well, you also, I know, have been looking into what's the driver of him believing in this, right? I mean, it's a very specific echo chamber, and one of the people who's been making these arguments is the CEO of MyPillow, Mike Lindell, who I know is
the MyPillow guy. Stop it with the MyPillow guy. He's on Fox News all the time, not only with his commercial, but also just as a fan. Like, it's so weird. Why? It's like Donald Trump's best friend is the MyPillow guy.
Confidant to the former president. He's been out
yeah,
there with
she's weirded out by it too. She's like, what's up with the MyPillow guy being a political pundit?
He's got all this proof of mass election fraud, which of course is false. Here's part of what we heard, all of us, when he actually talked about this with Jimmy Kimmel recently.
And let's be honest, your website doesn't even really work so well. Why would you think that you have broken this code of all people?
It wasn't me that broke it. They brought it to me.
But
and
these people are not.
The only reason they did, Jimmy, is because I have the voice. Knowing what I have.
This man said, I have the voice, but he didn't say he has the mustache. He has the mustache. I don't know about the voice. His voice sounded a little raspy. But he does have the mustache for it. I'll give him that. First off, hello to everybody new that joined. I know a couple people who joined the stream. Let me jump back over to the chat to acknowledge those people, and then we'll be back. Kingdom of Annie, United Empire of New Canada, good to see you. As well, Nueva Scotia, it's good to see you, Nueva Scotia. Oh gosh, okay, let me jump back in with the MyPillow mustache conspiracy theory guy.
Have now, if they would have put Donald Trump back in on December 14th, and knowing what I had right now, I would still be sounding the alarm going, you guys, these machines, they were hacked, and we have to do something in our country.
So, Jim, what happened after that interview?
So apparently after that interview, I talked to Mike Lindell about this just today, and he said that after the interview with Jimmy Kimmel, Donald Trump reached out to Mike Lindell and told him what a great job he did on Jimmy Kimmel.
What? Stop. Everybody stop fueling him. CNN right now is talking about him. That's fueling him. The president, the ex-president is calling him. It's telling him, oh, you did such a good job promoting these theories on Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel's talking to him.
Stop. They haven't spoken about this outlandish conspiracy theories that somehow Trump could be, reinstated as president of the United States. But Aaron, there is such
The
a
My
huge
Pillow guy
danger in
snuck
all of this,
into
because
our
this is the same
freaking
kind of crazy talk that provoked the
show.
January 6th insurrection.
He's so
And so
sneaky.
as long as Donald Trump
The
is
My
talking
Pillow
about this,
guy,
he's
he'll
speech this
slither in
weekend
with
down
his
in North
pillow
Carolina,
and
as long as he's
take
talking
over
about
your
this, I
stream.
think there is the potential for more violence, election-related, conspiracy theory-related violence in this country. Trump is still stoking this from exile, but as the source was telling me earlier today, there are advisors around him trying to talk him out of thinking like this because it is just so damn crazy, Aaron.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. And I want to go now to the acting Pennsylvania Secretary of State, Veronica DeGraffenreid. And Secretary, you know, look, you're dealing with some of this in your own state, right? There are some Republicans who are trying to follow the lines of Arizona, have some sort of a sham audit. Let me give you a chance first to react to what Jim Acosta is reporting. The former President Trump is having these conversations with advisors about whether he could be reinstated as president this year, conversations that a source who's having them with the president described to Jim as dangerous.
Right. So, yes, I didn't quite hear everything that Jim said, but I can tell you that in Pennsylvania for the 2020 general election, our counties, and I trust our counties, they had two audits of the 2020 general election. And we know that the election last year in Pennsylvania was absolutely fair. It was safe. It was accurate.
So, you know, the Washington Post is talking about the MyPillow CEO. They're reporting that he's just one of the people who has Trump's ear and has been fueling Trump's push for audits in Arizona and elsewhere, including your state. The Post says the list of other people who are now, you know, talking to the former president. One American News host, Christina Bobb, who's been covering the Arizona audit, and Pennsylvania Republican State Senator Doug Mastriano in your own state, which basically means that Trump is hearing this sort of thing. Listen to this.
Look, did you know there was a government-funded education grant
that I'm skipping?
We're in a race against time, everyone. We need this election pulled down. We need our great President Donald Trump back in, and that's coming.
It's becoming glaringly apparent that Donald Trump absolutely crushed Joe Biden in the election. The American people resoundingly choose Donald J. Trump, and Democrats are trying to steal it.
Half of the nation believes that this election was stolen from President Trump.
Okay, so people say half the people in the U.S. believe the election was stolen from Donald Trump. That's not true. 25% of Americans are registered as Republicans. A quarter. So you would have to be saying 100% of Republicans believe that. And then also some other group, you know, also believes that who don't identify as Republican. That's a lot. That's a lot of people. Over half the people in the United States or half the people in the United States do not believe that. That is not true. On top of that, it's not all Republican. You know it's not all Republicans. There are a fraction of Republicans that believe that. So it's like 10%, 8%, 3%, maybe less of the voting population actually believe, or the United States population period actually believes that there's any foul play in the election whatsoever. And even then, it's weird. It's the MyPillow guy. He's at the top of it.
That's a fact. I believe he won the state, and we're going to prove it.
You can prove it?
All right, this is
Then they have a Christmas tree in his background.
I believe he won the state, and we're going to prove it.
Yep, he sure did. Okay, so one, you see he has a flag with he has a flag with a tree on it, and then he has his Christmas tree in the background. I want to point that out. This man has been chilling in December. He was like, I haven't left the month of December. I'm still here. Oh no, it is December 24th. Okay, it was the day before Christmas. Never mind. I thought this man was chilling. It's May, but he is chilling in Christmas. Nope, it just was the day before Christmas. You're doing right, guy. Oh gosh, I can't hate on your Christmas tree anymore. But I wanted to.
This is all totally false. This is totally false. It's incredible that it's actually going out there. It's incredible, I think, that in at least some of those cases we just heard, the people saying it believe it. Secretary, what are you doing to fight back against baseless claims like this?
So, I mean, the fact is that the 2020 general election is over. I mean, I believe strongly, certainly, that our county election officials, the administration, and most of the members of the General Assembly, in fact, both Republican and Democrats, know that the 2020 general election, certainly for purposes of Pennsylvania, we're done. That election has been certified, candidates are serving. We are moving on. We're absolutely focused on advancing voter rights and expanding opportunities for people to vote here in Pennsylvania. And that is absolutely going to be our focus going forward.
Well, I think it's really important that you point out Republicans as well, because, you know, I've talked to Republicans in your state, some of whom have received death threats, right? But they are completely on.
Also, one of the things that's weird about the ballots and the election stuff is that when you go to do a ballot, you go down the ballot. Like it starts with the president, but you also have other candidates, other laws that are, you know, voted for. If there was all this election fraud, why isn't it that all Republicans want? You know, why isn't it that, you know, all the the most conservative viewpoints got passed legally? It didn't happen. It didn't, you know. It's just weird.
On the page with you, right? There was a winner, and it's been checked and double checked and triple checked, and everybody knows that winner was Joe Biden in your state, and Republicans know that and respect
You
that
don't
as
have
well,
to like
but not
him.
all of them.
You don't have to like him, but he did get the
because he
presidency.
just went to Arizona to observe this audit, which I put in air quotes because they've already had multiple audits, and this one is different. It is not a full or real audit. But he's saying in your state, go ahead, let's have a similar audit, pick a few counties and put people's minds at rest, is his quote. What do you say to him when he tries to kind of go, well, I just pick a few counties? How unreasonable is
They already
that?
did it.
Well, I will say to all citizens of Pennsylvania, quite frankly, again, our counties have moved on. The ballots from the election have been put away. And so, as a matter of fact, counties just had an election on May 18th here in Pennsylvania. So we have placed the 2020 election behind us for purposes of certification. And we are.
She's like, they just had an election. She's like, May 18th, just had an election. Go check that one. Oh my gosh. Okay. That. Goodness. It's ridiculous. So, those were a lot of topics for us to cover. I want to bring up people. People may be trying to figure out, you know, we talked a lot about U.S. politics today. And people may be wondering, you know, you're a micronational YouTube channel. Why are you talking so much about U.S. politics? One, because it shows people that there's an alternative to what's happening in the United States. Secondly, is to raise awareness. A lot of micronations are in the United States, and there are things that are going to affect them and other people who may be supporting them, and people just around the world, their friends, their neighbors, you know, their family members. So all of this is incredibly important to watch as a moment in history because things are changing fast. And it's not okay to just sit by and let it happen. You know, we have to address these hot button issues. We have to talk about these things. And if we don't, they're only going to get worse in the background. So, and there are going to be other people who make those decisions for us and who try to move forward on things that we may not agree with. So it's important to know what's happening and to be actively pushing your cause and your support in the direction you see fit. Regardless of your belief system or what you support or what you're against, it is important to be informed. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to show all these issues and just get everybody to agree. These are problems. These are problems that need to be addressed and need to be looked at seriously, and especially as micronations. These are the things that everybody doesn't like. These are the things that are causing problems between so many people and making people not like the macronation that they're in, specifically in the US. This is something that needs to be a talking point. This is something that needs to be important and addressed in the way that we handle United States politics in micronationalism. This is something that needs to be discussed, that There are reasons that people are having difficulty with the United States. There are reasons that there's so much voter apathy in the US and why there are so many people who don't vote or who don't feel like their vote matters even if they do vote. There are so many people who want change and want difference. And it sucks that those people don't get it and that they don't have enough avenues out of that. Um, so there's a whole bunch of stuff on that is important to discuss. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we need to be able to continue to bring up as it unfolds. So that's what I want to do on the stream today. I wanted to let you guys know what's happening out there in the world for you guys and to be able to ask your questions, to be able to discuss this as micronationalists, as macronationalists, as people who are living through this history. It is important. Um, so this is a moment that we all need to look back on and think how did we move forward from this? What is the place to go and the type of thing we need to create in order to move forward? As well, people asked about writing a constitution. People asked about a whole bunch of stuff. Yes, I want to do a video on writing a constitution, and I probably will do that pretty soon. I actually have been trying and banging my head against the wall to figure out how to write some videos based around citizenship, sovereignty, and the foreign dignitary license. So basically covering the entire prestige system in an official way, in a way that allows people to understand it. If you guys want some more information on stuff like that, check out our website. We have a lot of information on both if you want to become a citizen, if you want to become a sovereign, or if you want to become a foreign dignitary for your nation. All of those things are certainly possible within our new system that we've been developing. And it's something that I want people to have more ability to work in. So we're actively doing that. We're actively creating that. And then we are going to continue to make videos just like the ones that you guys are asking for. It's just all in due time and trying to make sure that those things come out nice, that they come out in a timely manner, but they also come out with the highest quality possible. So we're all still working. We're behind the scenes. We're grinding along, trying to make this place what we need to. Red Dark Wolf jumped in and said, "Yo, why was I banned?" Sorry. So a lot of the people ask me that all the time. I don't know if you can see that. When I ban somebody, I'll put there's like a reason box. There's like a reason for a description box. It's like why were you banned or whatever. And people ask me like, why are you banned? I was like, I put it in. So on yours, well, I specifically put rating. There are a lot of people who brought up like, hey, you've been rating. There are a lot of like screenshots and stuff of you just saying you were rating. You were rating and talking about rating in the general of our Discord. Rating's not okay. Don't bother other people who are trying to create micronations. Don't cause problems. Don't declare war on people. At a certain point, being enough of a like moving forward enough with bothering other people in the community just becomes an issue. I didn't want to ban you. I didn't want to do that. But I don't like other people feeling uncomfortable in our community or feeling like they're going to be targeted in our community because of one individual member. So I want everything to go well. I want people to be able to talk about micronationalism, to be able to move forward with their own ideologies, to be able to create alliances, to be able to create structure. I would love to see you on the micronational map with your micronation, but it can't be through fighting other people and causing problems. It doesn't matter if anybody raided you or declared war on you. Don't do it back to anybody ever. We've had problems on our server. We don't instigate things with other people. We're not gonna. We move forward. We grow. We continue to adapt because we're better than that. Be better than that. Don't attack people. Don't bother people. Don't do it. No matter what side you're on. If someone provokes you, don't provoke them back. Just do something different. Work harder at being something that is better than them. You know, I didn't say you rated Eternia, but you were talking about rating other nations in the general. Um, yeah, nobody should declare war on anybody. It's bad. It's silly. We have a video called "Why War is Stupid," especially micronational war. I don't support it, and I don't think it's okay. We don't want it on the server. So yeah, if anybody causes enough problems for enough people on the server, we probably just will end up removing them. It's a whole problem. William says, "Hey, I'm unhappy with my nation. I officially dissolve it and want to prepare better." Hey, William, I recommend you check out our video, "Why You Shouldn't Create a Micronation," because that talks about, hey, it's hard and there's a lot of preparation you have, and also it's important to gain experience. Experience is one of the big things we talk about in that video. So, William, if you want to gain more experience, I recommend you fill out a citizenship application. Try and join the Empire of Aeternia. Learn about some of the stuff that micronations do. Gain some important contacts and connections in the community, and eventually be able to do your own thing and develop in a way that you see fit. But don't feel like that's the end and that's it. You can still do what you want to do. I just recommend you first support another nation so that you can get your feet wet, so you can learn about how micronations grow and develop, and then be able to move forward with what you want to do. But yeah, that's what we've been talking about today, guys. We've been trying our best to unpack a lot of the stuff going on in the U.S. We've been trying to unpack a lot of the stuff going on with our micronational community. And ultimately, we will be making more of those informative videos for you guys and trying to assist you with developing your nation, such as creating a constitution, such as jumping in with stuff like developing our prestige system and discussing that with you all, including citizenship, sovereignty, foreign dignitary license. We want to explain all of that. William says, do you have to pay for citizenship? Not necessarily. So there are two paths to citizenship. The first path is to pay $1 a month on our Patreon, and that gets you access to citizenship. The second thing is we have requirements for citizenship. The second way that you can get citizenship is to create videos for the Empire of Aeternia YouTube channel. If you donate and submit content to us, that can cover the costs of your citizenship. That can cover the requirements. If you just want to freely give that to us and send in submissions. So that's not a problem at all, and that would be a great way to help, and it also helped to develop our nation. But the biggest, most important rule to citizenship, which you'll see actually on the citizenship application, which is on our website, eternianempire.wixsite.com/imperial market, you'll see once you click on citizenship and start filling out the form, you can't be a member of any other micronation when you are a citizen of our micronation. So you can't run for a government office in another micronation. You can't have another micronation. You can't be a part of another micronation while you are a citizen of the Empire of Aeternia. That doesn't mean you can't eventually leave your citizenship and do something else, but just while you maintain your active citizenship, you can't be a part of another micronation. If you are, you don't meet the citizenship requirements. Yeah, so that's the idea. Kieran Clome says, my micronation is about 12 members or so, but it feels so dead. Any tips? I recommend joining other for real, I think people really, really discredit how much they can actually affect micronationalism by joining another micronation. Kieran Clome says, I clearly don't know how to revive it. It's a whole thing. Kieran Clone says, as an ally AP, do you want me to make videos? I don't believe we've fully declared an alliance with you. If you filled out an alliance application, we need to review it and we need to contact. Have we reached out about an alliance? Have you because most of the time that's what we'll do. We'll come up with a reason for the alliance. We would actually receive a video and then start creating the alliance. Drew says, AP, hit me up with the citizenship. We are trying to. I was really sad that Matt is no longer a citizen, Drew. I saw Matt dropped off of the Patreon. Matt was paying for his citizenship with $1 a month on Patreon and then jumped off. Drew, we are actively trying to instate your citizenship. I'm trying to get some people to be able to meet and to talk about it. I'm trying to hit it up in the Hall of the Empire, which is our citizens channel for our Discord. It's a way that we can talk directly to all of our citizens and get some input. So the Hall of the Empire is where I've been trying to pitch for your citizenship and talk about that. If it takes too long, I'll probably just emergency instate it and we'll move forward from there. but I would like to get everybody's opinion on your video. It did well, and I'm excited to see it. Um, oh, Kirim Clone. Yep, you're right. Said join the server. That's true. Yes, I would like you to make videos. I think we actually discussed that. So yes, Kirim Clone. Yes, we did. Uh, let me see. Let me go back and read. Uh, Yes, so that was one of the things that we brought up was video content. So essentially, what we would want to do is to get video content from you, have you donate that video content, we'll upload it, and then we will start moving forward with an alliance. We just want to create like regularly scheduled video content. So that would be the basis of an alliance. Essentially, is to say, hey, we receive some benefit from this alliance specifically based around this video content. So when you would send an initial video, you could be like, this is the video and this is what it's about, whatever, and then we'll put it online and then we'll see how it does. And then everybody likes the video, it's great. We say, hey, that's fantastic. We'd like to set up a regular trade agreement with you for so many videos or whatever, and to get that sent to us and to have you be advertised and recognized on our platform as a trade for that video content donation. And so that would be the idea. That's what we would try and move forward with. So yes, Kieran Clone, we would love for you to make videos. We did. We looked at your alliance application. You're 100% right, and that's how we would want to move forward. I'm sorry, I that slipped my mind. I'm sorry that I did forget that as well. I would love to talk and discuss more about moving forward with your nation. One thing I would recommend, you can get a sovereignty license. So a sovereignty license allows you to complete quests for the Empire of Aeternia, not just for the Empire of Aeternia, but for any micronation a part of our prestige system that has the ability to issue quests, including people with nations with foreign dignitaries. So that's a whole thing, but the biggest development, the biggest incentive for people to get a sovereignty license. It's 100% free, and it allows you to start interacting as a nation, as an individual separate from a citizenship in the Empire of Eternia with the Empire of Eternia. It allows you to start getting into the networks and the opportunities that we offer. So if you're interested in that, I recommend that you apply for a sovereignty license. We can get that sent to you, a digital sovereignty license, 100% for free. It'll have your nation's flag and stuff on it. It'll have a description of who you are, and you can even buy a physical copy of one if you would like on our Etsy shop on the Imperial Market. But yeah, that would be great. The American says this has nothing to do with us. This has to do with America. Also, AP, it's not wise to try and be a politician. I would say that's also not accurate. A politician, I suppose, is someone who would interact in the political sphere. See, I'm not someone who is, being paid to talk about politics. In a way, I suppose, yeah, like I'm just not. I'm someone who's trying to create a country, but it is important to be an activist. It is important to raise awareness on points that you care about and saying this is wrong, the problems that are happening in the United States is wrong, I will never feel sorry about, because that's how you make a mark in history. That's where you stand and say there are problems that need addressing. And if you can't address the politics in the nation that you were born in, how can you address the politics in a nation you're trying to create? So I completely disagree with that. You don't have to be a politician to be saying this is wrong, this is a problem. And also, if more politicians did do that and actually took action in ways that assisted outside of the political sphere that they're in, maybe it would be better. It's just that there's a lot of talk and no action. I'm trying to provide action, and I'm gonna talk about it. Kieran Clone says, I cannot afford anything on your Patreon, I'm sorry. No, that's fine. You don't have to do anything with the Patreon. Sovereignty is 100% free. Kieran Clone says, oh, I thought I had to buy the license. No, so the digital license is free. Once you fill out the sovereignty application, you get accepted. You are put in as a sovereign. You get a digital sovereignty license, and then you can purchase the physical one if you want, for us to mail you a physical official copy for you to keep on yourself, like a driver's license, like an identification, to show that you're connected to the Empire of Aeternia, to show that you have your own micronation, to show that you are a part of this system. You can buy it that for like a one-time fee. It's on our Patreon, if on our Etsy shop if you wanted to, but that's not mandatory at all. And you can apply for sovereignty 100% for free. I've been pushing sovereignty so hard because it's just a free thing, and it's easy to join. It allows people to interact more closely with our nation and to improve things like alliances, 100% for free. Nueva Scotia says, hi there, hi again. Hey everybody, joined in. William Butcher says, AP, what is a principality? I would love to talk about all those things. Future videos. American says, AP, we work with micronations, why not macronations? You should work with everybody. Macronations are where micronationalists come from. Nobody starts their life as a micronationalist. You start as a macronationalist, and then you develop interests. You should work with everybody, especially the people who are hurting in macronation. Those are the people who want to come to your micronation. They're looking for a way out, looking for a way to improve. You cannot hope to offer them a better life if you cannot offer solutions to the problems that are happening in their macronation. Drew says, huh? Annie says, I want to watch this live stream. Hey, I appreciate it, Annie. Thank you. Nueva Scotia says, recently we had to put down a rebellion in our western, along with my ally. Oh, that's so weird. They declared independence for me in my allies' backyardia. Again, war, if you really own the land, they can't do it. It's just a legal impossibility, so I feel like it's silly, and it seems like it's getting into micronational war territory. Tess says, Joe Biden is destroying the U.S. with his infrastructure plans. Nueva Scotia says, they took some of me in backyardia's territory. They surrendered in 30 minutes. America says, who cares? We're talking about this now. Okay, the American. Drew says, with high tensions with Russians, Drew says, please do not say that they're just sharing the news. Interesting. Everybody's jumping online. Agreed. If it's the news in your micronation, that's purely understandable. But at the same time, it's hard to prevent somebody from, declaring independence on something that you yourself don't own. So that it's difficult. It's a hard topic, but we will cover that again in a future video. Nueva says, my war was in my IRL territory. Just don't have any war. If it's legally your territory, you don't have a war. You just say, it's mine, I own it. Legally this is mine, get out. And you can just do that. That's fine. They can declare independence. They'll have to declare independence from some other place. But Drew says, summer in person. The American actually brought up a great point. Said Nueva Scotia, nobody died. It's not a war. I agree with that. War has a very specific terminology, a very specific meaning associated with it to a lot of people, for people who have served and died in wars. And I do not recommend you ever use the term war unless you are describing something like that. So if you're a micronationalist and you're saying, oh, this person declared war on me or whatever, don't listen to him, because it's just not. Of course, Tiffany brought up a great question. She said, call it a dispute. Call it a dispute. Call it a disagreement. Call it a fracturing between your nations. You can spice it up however you want, but war is the incorrect term. When you say war, people think you're trying to kill people, and I assume you're not trying to kill people, so don't do that. Christ is Great says, why are you guys so toxic? I don't think we're toxic. I think we're talking about political issues. Nueva Scotia says, no one needs to die for it to be my war. People need to die for it to be a war definitionally. Don't call it a war. Christ is Great says, don't you know the gospel of Jesus Christ? Yeah, but there are multiple different accounts of it. Depending on which Bible you read, there are different interpretations, the whole thing. Kieran Clome says, right, this chat's a bit toxic lately. I, again, think it's political issues. I think people are allowed to talk about political issues and have disagreements without it being toxic. Nueva says, I'm not a Christian. Drew says, for example, the islands of Florida declared independence and they had a war, but only casualty was a man hit with a seashell. Goodness. Kieran Plum says, I'm a pagan, sorry. The American says, thank you, AP, exactly. Nueva Scotia said, not my, I'm an A. The declared independence, so technically it's a war. No, it's not. Again, no, it's not. What Drew says, with all due respect, you have sent 80% of the chats toxicity so far. Um, Dang. Uh, I don't think that's true either though. Kieran Flynn just hasn't been toxic, but also the other people haven't been toxic. Nobody's being toxic. That's the thing that gets me. William Butcher says, "Can I have a micronationism?" Like people can disagree without it being toxic. I think it's a disagreement. I don't think it's toxic. I think that's too extreme. William says, "Can I have my own micronation as a principality and be a prince who rules it on my own?" Yes, yes. Um, Kieran Clome says, I haven't really, dude. Christ is Great says, I've watched so many of your videos and I do not want to assume, but aren't most Scots Christian? Kieran Clome says, in all fairness, you've been posting aggravating messages this entire time. Sure, but posting aggravating messages, like things that aggravate you, is different from being toxic. Drew says, I've been doing research. Limper says, yes, you have been aggravating. Again, I feel like just disagreements in opinion doesn't necessarily make something, like a problem. Kieran Clome says, bro, you've been begging to argue with me. I'm just sitting here trying to enjoy AP stream. I appreciate that. Also, guys, for real, if someone doesn't want to engage with you in the comments, just don't engage with them. You know what I mean? And I would say the same thing for you, Kieran Clome. If people are annoying you and causing you problems, just don't even bother with the chat. I appreciate you chatting. Like, it helps us a lot. I want to tell you, for everybody who's having a discussion, who's trying to actually make progress in the conversation, thank you so much, because it helps us. It helps the channel. It helps us to grow. But it shouldn't affect your mental health, your well-being. It shouldn't piss you off for the whole day because people are arguing in the comments. That's not what this is for. That's not what it's about. So if you get upset by something that you see, don't engage with it. If people are bothering you, try not to engage with it. If it becomes egregious enough, I will deal with it, but it's not something that needs to get that hostile. William says, how long will this stream be? We're probably going to start winding it down here in a few minutes. I really like to try and hit 2 hours, but I don't think we're going to fully hit 2 hours today. Drew says, I'm not heated. You've been mad at us for saying what we believe, for having a civil conversation. Americans to calm down. Kieran Close says, dude, I'm just been sharing my opinions too, like genuinely trying to stop trying to start an argument. I think everybody's fine. Andy says, AP, what's your opinion on the football war? Again, what war? Football war, what? Maybe Scotia says, interesting. Okay, so talking about religion, politics, all this different stuff.
Unless you're talking about football in the early years when it first started and completely was violent and people did actually die because people would literally
Horrible
tear
concussions.
people's limbs apart during football.
Yep, whole issue.
Football is not like that anymore though.
Yep. So yeah, there's been a lot of topics we've had to cover today. We talked a lot about the U.S. And we're continuing to move forward with a lot of the news that we're trying to get to. We're winding down for today. We're gonna be contacting a lot of you guys about continued stuff with alliances, with stuff with the development of our nation, with the development of your nations, and we're gonna be trying to get you guys more informational content out there. So I appreciate you all hanging out today. If you haven't liked the video yet, I really recommend you do. It helps us a lot. It helps to spread it out. Also, check out the micronational map on our website. Check out all the different things that we have for you to interact with the Empire of Aeternia. So if you're interested in becoming a citizen and joining our empire, you can do so that way through our website. If you want to be able to have your micronation become a part of us or a part of our system, if you want to be able to interact and make money in our system, but you're not a part of any micronation, sovereignty, the way to go. The same thing with trying to get your nation just into the door to start working with us. Sovereignty is a great way to go. Foreign dignitaryship, being having some official connection to our nation with similarly to like an ambassador. Foreign dignitaries are people who directly represent your nation to our nation and to its infrastructure. So they help make decisions on things like trade deals. They can do things like create quests on behalf of your nation for other people to fill out. That is actually something that requires money, but is a larger endeavor, a larger connection between micronations. So that is something to talk about in the future. But even if you can't, the foreign dignitaryship, by the way, it's $5 a month on Patreon. It's not that crazy. But If you can't afford that, that's perfectly fine. You can still have your nation interact with us through sovereignty. You can have as many sovereignty licenses as you want for your different citizens in trying to develop their connection to our nation. And it has a lot of the same perks as the foreign dignitary license. So it was good to see everybody. I'm so glad to have everybody in the chat, hanging out with us, supporting us. Again, if you guys don't mind, like the video, it helps a lot. And I can't wait for us to continue to delve into more topics like this. Always continue to do your research. Always continue to look into what you believe is right. Always continue to try and make progress. But make sure that you understand the people you're interacting with and talking to are other people with feelings, with families, with thoughts and emotions, with fears, with loves. So make sure that you treat them with dignity, make sure that you support them, make sure you try and understand them, even if just because those people are going to be the people who are looking and judging your micronation in the future and looking to see whether or not that is actually an improved solution to the issues they've brought up in the past. So those are going to be the people who support you or who are against you. And I think it's important to make ourselves known for who we are and what we want. And hopefully to be able to provide future benefit to people who need it. Thank you so much for everybody hanging out. Nueva Scotia, thank you so much for joining us. William Butcher, thank you so much. Kieran Clone, thank you so much. Drew Andy, thank you so much. We're about to join. We're about to get you that citizenship. Kingdom of Annie, thank you so much. The American, thank you. Christ is great, thank you. The Emperor, thank you. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you, and I can't wait until the next time. Peace, guys. Peace. Peace. I'm gonna keep saying peace for a minute because I want to make sure that the stream fully ends with everybody seeing me say bye, because sometimes it ends a little bit early. Kingdom of Annie, thank you so much as well. I want to say bye to everybody over a couple minutes because I know sometimes the stream will cut out a little bit early on YouTube and it won't fully describe it. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hey, I appreciate y'all. It's gonna be a really long thing. If all this gets put in, it's gonna seem like a really long intro that's unneeded. But I appreciate it, guys. Bye. Bye everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate y'all. Hey, Eternia forever. Hey, I appreciate y'all. Have a good day. Again, Steven gave us a great flag. Thank you to Master Steven. Thank you to Master Gray. Thank you to Press Noble Nathan. Thank you to everybody who's helping to make this such an important thing, as well our patrons. Can't forget about Leanna, our #1 aristocrat. She's also a patron. Thank you much to Steven as well, also a patron. That means a lot. And nope. But yeah, yep. Again, I'm sorry to Matt. I hope he becomes a citizen and we can make videos and stuff again. I'm excited.